Shikhidhvaja said, "My delusion is gone. Wisdom has been gained by your grace. I remain free from all doubts. I know what there is to be known. The ocean of illusion has been crossed. I am at peace without the notion of I, but as pure knowledge." Kumbha said, "When the world does not exist as such, where is I or you? Hence, remaining at peace within yourself, engage yourself in non-volitional actions as are appropriate from moment to moment. All this is but Brahman, which is peace. I and the world are words without substance. When the insubstantiality of such expressions is realized, then what was seen as the world is realized as Brahman." This teaching can seem quite preposterous when you first encounter it, or even after you've encountered it several times. There's likely to be a reaction to it, an affirmation of your own sense of reality, your own vision of reality, your own understanding of reality. We all have our own feeling about reality, which we think is unquestionable, unassailable, and any attempt to do so, any attempt to question it is ridiculous. Any attempt to question the reality of the material world, physical material world, is seen as rather ridiculous, at least. But when you start looking into things, when you start loosening this conviction, then it's quite clear that reality is not what you think it is. It's quite clear if you're a physicist. Reality is certainly not what it appears to be. Right from the moment we wake up to when we fall asleep, our mind starts engaging with thoughts. We start thinking. And this is our reality. How often do we just stop that thinking? How often do we disengage from it? How often do we just rest in the pure experiencing? The pure experiencing is reality. Reality is what is happening, not what we think is happening. And of course, whenever we talk about it, we're talking about what we think is happening. So there's an inherent limitation in communication. But if we can use the words to turn the attention from our thoughts, from its identification with its notions and feelings, if we can turn it to itself, then we've touched pure knowledge beyond notions of I and the world. Not only that, the creator Brahma is but an idea or notion. So Brahma, the creator God, is also an idea or notion. How can God be anything other than a notion, an idea, or a feeling, even a feeling? It's an interpretation of a feeling. This is the horror of religious beliefs that believes in the absolute word of God. What such people are doing is giving such authority to their own notions of God, which is the extreme of ego, the total opposite of any spiritual understanding, to give your notions absolute authority. Creator Brahma is but an idea or notion, even so is self or I. In their right or wrong comprehension lies liberation or bondage. The notion I am gives rise to bondage and self-destruction. In other words, you forget your true nature. The realization I am not, or I is not, leads to freedom and purity. We spend all our life building up our own sense of reality, but we can let go of it. That's freedom. Bondage and liberation are but notions. That which is aware of these notions is the infinite consciousness, which alone is. So the more you become aware of the notions by which you construct your own reality, the more you're realizing your nature as the infinite consciousness. The notion I am is the source of all distress. The absence of such a feeling is perfection. Realize I am not that ego sense and rest in pure awareness. And don't realize it in the sense of adopting it as a notion. Don't get into the idea that there is no me, there is no I am. Don't get into it as a notion. But realize it, realize the truth that that phrase points to. When such pure awareness arises, all notions subside. There is perfection. In the pure awareness, perfection or the Lord, there is neither causality nor the resultant creation or objects. In the absence of objects, there is no experience, nor its concomitant ego sense. When the ego sense is non-existent, where is samsara, the cycle of birth and death? When thus samsara does not exist, the Supreme Being alone remains. In it the universe exists as carvings in uncarved stone. These carvings are our artistic expression, our stories. These are the stories. There's an infinite well of stories waiting to be told. And this is what we do. We create stories. We believe in these stories. We live these stories. But let's stop the story now and again and get back to the storyteller. We've forgotten the storyteller. He who thus sees the universe without the intervention of the mind, and therefore without the notion of a universe, he alone sees the truth. Such a vision is known as nirvana. Even as the ocean alone exists when the word wave is deprived of its meaning, Brahman alone exists when the word creation is seen as meaningless. This creation is Brahman. Brahman alone is aware of this creation. Brahman is the only awareness. When the word meaning of creation is dropped, the true meaning of creation is seen as the eternal Brahman. We must be quite careful not to think of Brahman as a something. It's got a name, but it's not anything. It's awareness, pure awareness, awareness aware of itself, not aware of something. When one inquires into the word Brahman, the all is comprehended. When one similarly inquires into the word creation, Brahman is comprehended. However, that consciousness which is the basis and the substratum for all such notions and their awareness is known by the word Brahman. When the truth is clearly realized, and when the duality of knowledge and known is discarded, what remains is supreme peace, which is indescribable and inexpressible.